from Jigar Shah, who has been extremely helpful as our liaisons from LRP to Jain Center of New Jersey. He was a former president of JCNJ and the Northeast Regional VP of Jaina, and he will introduce Dipak Jain. Is Jigar by there?
Once again, Jai Jain and Pranam. Hope all our morning is going well. It is a great pleasure to introduce a keynote speaker, Dr. Dipak Jain. He is a distinguished academic and global business educator, renowned for his contribution to marketing and management education, born in Assam, India. He pursued his early education in statistics, earning bachelor's degree from Derang College and master's from Guwahati University. He later obtained PhD in marketing from University of Texas at Dallas, laying the foundation for a prolific career in academia. Dr. Jain's academic journey is marked by his significant leadership role. He served as Dean of Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management from 2001 to 2009, where he was also a Sandy and Morton Goldman Professor for Entrepreneurial Studies and Professor of Marketing. Following this, he became the Dean of INSEAD, a premium international business school with campus in France, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi from 2011 and 2013. His leadership extended to Asia, where he was the director of Sassoon Graduate Institute of Business Administration at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok between 2014 and 2017. Currently, he holds the position of Vice Chancellor at Jito Institute in India, contributing to the advancement of higher education in the region. In addition to his academic endeavors, Dr. Jain has played an influential role in the corporate sector. He serves as on the board of Reliance Industry, one of the India's largest powerhouse, and he has been advisor to Mukesh Ambani. His expertise is sought after various global corporations, including Microsoft, Novartis, Sony, and many more. Dr. Jain's contribution have been recognized throughout the numerous accolades. He is one of the first to receive Pravasi Bharati Sanman Award from the Indian government for the highest award of NRI. He is a visionary, he is a rainmaker. And before I conclude, welcoming him, as every leader from the LRP mentioned, that when we plan, we wanted to have the mixed age group. Yesterday, when I saw a very seasoned person, I asked them, how did you like Dr. Jain's speech? She says, मैं तो उनको बचपन से सुनती हूँ. मैंने बोला हाउ? तो मेरे हस्बैंड का मौसी का लड़का था. And we know मौसी is like ma. So this is a home turf for Dr. Jain. Our president Mihir Bhai said this is the first time we are hearing the Dr. Jain. You don't need a special invitation to come to your mom's place. You are always welcome. Let's put a big hand together for Dr. Jain, a rainmaker.
You heard the long introduction. introducing a speaker is a skill. And all of us in this room may or will have an opportunity to do that. Sometimes we have speakers who are so well renowned that you don't know what to say about them. And I made that mistake once. So I want to share that mistake that I made and how today I have this detailed introduction. So you all know that yesterday I said that my first day as the Dean of Kellogg was 9/11. But before I became the Dean, we used to run a program, a leadership program for the FBI. And every year I used to teach in that program. And Mr. Mueller, Bob Mueller, who was the head of FBI, used to come to Kellogg School in the same Allen Center where we had our LRP. And we both used to give the diplomas to the attendees. So all our students knew that Dr. Jain knows Mr. Mueller very well. So after 9/11, they all came to me and said, we would like to hear from the horse's mouth. He's the head of FBI. What actually happened during 9/11? So I called him and he said, Dipak, you have been so helpful. All the FBI participants, they love your sessions. So this is the minimum I can do for you. So he came. This is post 9/11. So I went to the podium. The room was jam-packed because everyone wanted to hear. So I made this mistake. I came to the podium and I said, today we have someone who needs no introduction. So please join me in welcoming the head of FBI, Mr. Robert Mueller. All claps, everyone there. He came to the podium and he called me. He says, come here. He says, I started my journey. See, I was on 9/11 and he started, I think, 6/11/2001 as the head of FBI, just 1 week before. And he said that you are also just starting now. So he called me. You know, I have this bad habit of hugging people because when we were rated #1 in the Business Week in 2002, the title was Dipak Jain, the Hugging Dean, right? And in 2004, Business Week had another article because I was present at the tsunami. So they say the hugging dean becomes the tsunami dean. So there was another article. So Mr. Mueller knows that he brought me and he hugged me and he said, Deepak, I want to give one piece of advice. I don't need an introduction does not mean I don't want an introduction. That was the line he said. So he said that whenever you introduce a speaker, read about the person and share some experience that you had personally or you heard something. And I thank Manoj and all of you to say so much about me, but I am who I am. And as I said yesterday, being yourself, we all have a gift in us. The question is what we make of that gift. And today, Yogen Bhai will follow me, but a big challenge for the Jain community is how we brand ourselves. And branding is nothing but a part of marketing, which means how we create awareness for what we stand for. So I put the title as Branding Jainism and Jain Values. Earlier, I was thinking of changing Jain Values to Jain Way of Life, because I remember at Kellogg, that was a very big presentation we had. But Jain Way of Life is driven by Jain Values. So I just thought that I would use that word. Or Jain Values also stand for the Jain Sanskars, That's the genes inside us. If you see the world, we have seen some major global disruptions. If you see here, I'm just sharing the last 25 years, the day I came in the dean's office, what I have personally experienced. The first is dot-com burst. And Prem Bhai, I want to thank you for this. When I became the dean, before 9/11, when I was announced, our students like to have a guest speaker, and Mr. John Chambers was the guest speaker at Kellogg from Cisco. In those days, Cisco was one of the most renowned organizations. And what he told me is that I will speak to the students, but I would like to have a dinner with only 20 people in the room, and of which you and your colleagues would be there, plus invite some CEOs of companies in Chicago, because I would like to hear their perspectives. To me, that is the one manifestation of Anekant. And when we were having dinner, he asked every person, and this I tell you is July 2001. He asked the CEO of United Airlines, the Caterpillar, the John Deere, who are in the Midwestern companies. And I tell you, everyone at that time predicted that things are going to go south. Before 9/11 happened. To me, 9/11 only became a good excuse for companies. But things were already going down. And I thought to myself that that was the most depressing dinner I had. Because everyone said that things are going to get worse. And in 2000, we had all the dot-com burst. Then, the second one was, I have to point here, sorry. The Enron scandal happened. And I got a very big curse for that, because the CFO of Enron was a Kellogg graduate. He was a Kellogg graduate. So as a dean, I used to get, and you won't believe, 1 week after 9/11, there was a major presentation outside our building. Is called the Anderson Hall. And there were lots of people in Chicago saying that you need to change the name of the building. Because you remember, Arthur Anderson was the auditor. So I went out and I said that separate the individual from the institution. Arthur Anderson was gem of a human being. He created a world-class organization. And this gift came from him personally to Kellogg School. So you have to separate the individual from the institution. What the institution did today, I don't know full details, that is there. But I said that I'm not going to change. This is still the Anderson Hall that was there. 9/11, I spoke yesterday. SARS. We have a joint program in Hong Kong between Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and Kellogg. And as the dean, every year I go there to award the certificates. And I happened to go when SARS was there, and I got sick. And who rescued me? I was so sick that Mr. Ambani sent his plane to Hong Kong, and I came to Bombay and stayed at his house for 8 days. At that time, it was quite tough time. Tsunami. And this tsunami is where I started this project called Branding Thailand. Dr. Thaksin was the Prime Minister of Thailand, and his Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Somkid, did his PhD from Kellogg School in marketing. So Dr. Somkid called me, and I met Prime Minister Thaksin, and he said, I want you to do a project for me called Branding Thailand. How we should market Thailand. But Dr. Thaksin was actually a businessman. So he really wanted that. And I did this project, presented to him on December 18th of 2004. On December 19th, he called me and said, Dr. Jain, I want you to be a state guest. And I give you 2 choices. Either go north to Chiang Mai or south to Phuket. So I said, I don't make the decision. I will call my wife in Chicago and decide what to do. I called my wife and she said that Assam, Chingma is the north, is very similar to the topography of Assam. He says, we have heard so much about Phuket, so let's go to Phuket. You won't believe, we reached there midnight of 25th of December, 26th morning. We were on the beach and tsunami strikes. You heard. 5 of us were there. Not a single drop of water touched us. Lot of people got washed away with the waves and other ships, wrecks, all this thing. कोई था बचाने वाला. It's a long story. But what I found that day is, and let me repeat, I have said this before, that in the whole tsunami, not a single animal died. Because they felt the tumor, the tremor, and they knew this is not the land on which they normally walk. So their instincts made them move from the sea towards mountains and forest. So that's why I say that eyes on the horizon, feet on the ground, and an alert mind to point you in the right direction. That's how we should behave. Eyes on the horizon, feet on the ground, and an alert mind to point you in the right direction. This feet on the ground is what I think leaders ought to do. If you are always traveling here and there and you're not in touch with the realities of the company, when crisis happens, you may be totally lost. And who died the most in tsunami? No, people who were swinging in the hammocks. They didn't know what was happening in the ground. And the waves came and the whole with hammocks, they got washed away. So tsunami was a great experience for me personally. Financial crisis of 2008. 2008 was a special year for me because Kellogg School, the Northwestern Business School, was established in 1908. We were celebrating the 100 years. And the 100th years, an Indian becoming the icon person to celebrate is a big thing. And at that time, I was doing fundraising for the new building. And the day when Lehman Brothers collapsed, I was doing fundraising in New York. And people told me, idiot, we lost all our money and you are coming here to ask for money. And I said, but Prem Bhai said this. I said that I have a good purpose in mind. And you won't believe, between 2008 and 2009, I was able to get $102 million for the building. 63 in cash and others in pledges. Because when crisis would happen, as I said yesterday, 9/11, but if you have a good purpose in mind, never hesitate to ask. So that was there. Arab Spring, we were Dean of INSEAD at that time. And this was a very major event that really affected. And the reason I'm telling you, at that time, the president of Lebanon was an INSEAD graduate. And he had invited me to Lebanon. I was in Beirut. And we had 180 senior government officials, of which 160 were INSEAD alums. So I saw people would say that why you go to countries like Lebanon and others. So, and for some reason, when these things happen, I have been there personally, but came out safely. So some of my friends who meet me at the airport say that when Dipak is traveling, we should not travel. He is always present at the crisis. I say, no. Travel with me. You will have the best experience and you will also be fine. So I have experienced this thing personally. Somebody has saved me COVID-19. January 20th, 2020, just like this, that evening I was making a big speech in Shanghai. I came to my room, turned on the TV, CNN, and that's the day when China announced COVID, January 20th of 2020. And I said yesterday I had a brain tumor, and my wife called me and said that she got a call from the neuro-oncologist saying that make sure that Dean Jain does not get COVID. I started calling airlines. Very difficult to get out because that year, January 26th, was the beginning of Chinese New Year. And जैसे हम लोग दिवाली में जुआ खेलना अच्छा समझते हैं, the Chinese also like to come to Las Vegas or New Jersey to gamble and so on. There are 5 non-stop flights from Shanghai every day. किसी में भी एक टिकट नहीं था. Then I played my card because I was a board of director of United from 2004 to 2011 period. So I called them and they were able to give me a seat where, the flight attendants sometimes take rest. There is an area. They said, Dr. Jain, we will give you a seat, but there are no windows on that seat. I said, I don't care about the windows. And I got a seat to travel from Shanghai to San Francisco on the night of the 21st. I was able to get out there. So, as they say, where there is a will, there is a way. My wife always corrects me. He says, men have will, women have their way. So we know how to get things done. So I said, yes, I understand that part also. Then comes the Russian-Ukraine war, we have seen. And, the Hamas. And the reason I bring the Hamas thing is I have a very, very close connection with Israel. We created a joint program between Tel Aviv University and Kellogg School in 1996, and I taught the very first class. And not to digress too much, but I will just tell you one cultural difference, because Prem Bhai brought a concept called unity in diversity. And to me, diversity is not diversity of color and caste. It's diversity of thoughts. How different people think. So a lot of people ask me, you have taught and lectured in many countries. What do you see is the difference? So I say, let me summarize my teaching experience. In my introduction, it was said that I was the director of Chulalongkorn University. So I said that in Thailand, when I teach, I lecture. Because the Thais are very humble people. They don't ask any questions. So I say, in Thailand, I lecture. In US, I discuss. In Tel Aviv, I debate. That is the difference, because when you teach in Tel Aviv, the Israeli students would say openly, Professor Jain, why don't you admit that you don't know the answer? We are fine. Don't try to give us something. It's very difficult to teach Israeli students because they would have their own point of view and they would not buzz from it until you give them a very convincing example. The point I want to take is these things are beyond our control. You cannot change the world, but you can change yourself. Changing yourself means changing your perspectives. How you react to that world is very important. And that's where I have considered our Jain Sanskars play a very big role in trying to have my 3 A's. Okay, everyone is talking about English ABCD, so I will tell you my 3 A's. What are my 3 A's? First is your ability to anticipate. I don't believe in forecasting. Anything you forecast is going to be wrong. But when things happen like this, you should anticipate what are the possible consequences. So, for example, 9/11 happened, job market will go down. Financial crisis, asking people for money would be a problem. So first is ability to anticipate. And in that case, to all the emerging Jains, I would say, in life, be proactive and not reactive. You decide, as I said, that I decided what I should do after 9/11, wrote a letter, take some initiatives, be proactive. The second is courage to deal with ambiguity. Today there is a term called VUCA world, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. We all live under ambiguity. We should have the courage to deal with ambiguity. And this is a very important leadership trait. because lots of people get confused. I have colleagues who would ask me, Professor Jain, you have to teach in this program in October, and I want to know whether you would teach on Thursdays or Wednesday, and whether you would teach from 8:30 to 12 or 1 to 4:30. If I don't give him an answer, he won't have sleep till October. So I give him an answer, and if I have to change, I call him a day before so that he only loses 1 day of sleep. And I'm just saying, one thing I will tell you, in my experience, Americans are not used to dealing with ambiguity, the core Americans. They get so nervous about it. And if there is one community in the world that can deal that with best is हम लोग, क्योंकि हम लोग सारी उम्र ये हो जाएगा, चलता है चलेगा. We are used to dealing with this thing, but that courage has to be there. And the third is respect for adaptability across cultures. Adaptability, because India is a country of countries with so many states. Not only I worked in Europe, but I tell you, in Europe you have Germans, etc., but at least the language, the script is the same for French and German. But in India, Tamil and Telugu and Hindi have very different scripts. So this adaptability, ambiguity, and the ability to anticipate are 3 traits that I follow on a regular basis, because we have seen so many different cultures, and we need to make sure that we are sensitive to each of these cultures. Okay. So this is there. Now I put this as the foundation why branding becomes important to us. Now, if you look at the world economies, definitely US number 1, China number 2. Today, Japan is number 3. And you must have heard Bindesh Bhai, Prime Minister Modi always saying that by 2047, we would be the 3rd largest economy in the world, and I have no doubt about it. We will be the 3rd largest economy in the world. So if you look at the 3rd largest economy, I am very proud to say the most intelligent and the most prosperous community in India is the Jain community. They say worldwide people have respect for the Jews, or one reason is we like to keep a low profile, but at the same time, our parents' priorities are, number 1, give children the best education. This is a very important thing that everyone, when I go to any conference, people would like to ask, what should I do next? I have done this, I have done this. Emphasis on education is still a priority for us. Second, being a vegetarian, vegan, and others, our diet shapes our thinking. With the kind of diets other generations may have, you can also become more violent, anger increases. वो कहते हैं ना, सात्विक खाने से आप में humility भी आती है, and I think there is some truth to such statements that is there. We Jains are there. And so excellence on education, our food habits, and third, whether we respect or not, what the 3 A's of Jainism are, another this Anekant and Ahimsa and Aparigraha, is something that helps us present ourselves. What I want to spend for the next 15-20 minutes is how we need to bring the hidden jewel in us, make it a shining piece that people look at it and say, what can I learn from these people? So how do we do that? Just not to be too professorial, but I would just use what is in marketing we considered that a brand is an identity. And I tell you, this concept of branding came not from a marketing person. There is a person who used to be the chairman of the marketing department at Kellogg. His name was Professor Sidney Levy. And he did his PhD in sociology from University of Chicago. And in the early 60s, he wrote an article in Harvard Business Review called Symbols for Sale. That word symbols for sale became branding later on. He said that when people go to markets, people buy symbols. और Nike का आपको check mark है. People look at that. Disney का. So he said that symbols for sale, and later on somebody converted that thing into the concept of branding. Means brand basically sees an identity. So when you refer to a person, people would like to know what that person identifies or what that person stands for. So when we have research scholars, we would know this person is known for X, this person is known for Y. So this definition says, and that identity should be clear, coherent, and something distinctive. But clarity is very important. You cannot have a brand image that is confused, because then that confusion would create more problems. That clarity should be there. So Manoj has been saying, when I became the dean of Kellogg, every business school tries to market itself. So my branding for Kellogg, my first speech to the students used to be, by joining the Kellogg school, you are starting your journey from success to significance. That was the brand. Because you come here to be successful, and you will be successful. But from success, the day you achieve a level of success, significance to me means making a difference in the lives of other people, which means giving back. And that's what Manoj always uses, that today, we Jains are there to see what we can give back in terms of what we have achieved, and try to create better communities, better societies. And as Prem Bhai said, the content, the context that is part, the communicate that you have to communicate, and branding is a part of communication. Rather than communicating in words, that symbol may communicate. So that's what the brand is, and how we do that, I will present. But this statement I made last, that brand is not the promise, but the delivery of the promise. My previous dean, Don Jacobs, who was the dean for 26 years, a person very different than Dipak Jain, he always used to tell in public, when he used to describe me, he said, the day I give a responsibility to Dipak, that night I get the best sleep. He said, the best sleep I had was if I have because I know when I say this thing to Dipak, the work would be done. So the promise is the delivery of the promise, and that's what I will share. So let me first, you remember last night I made a statement that what is management education? Putting structure on unstructured problems, a structured thinking. So when you think of brand, what is the structure you have to have in mind? But before I go to the structure, I just want to give a couple of examples. We deal with commodities, and then the brand makes it a differentiated product, unique. Spring water है, और वही स्प्रिंग वाटर मुफ्त में मिलेगा, पेरियर की बॉटल में डाल दो तो $5, यूरोप में तो €4 या €5 की एक बॉटल, and people are glad to pay that. What is that Perrier bottle? That Perrier brand says this is safe to drink, everything. Oh, when I was in Paris, the LVMH series, those bags that you pay thousands of dollars, they are all made in Thailand or somewhere. Without the logo, वो $5 का, with logo $5,000. And the quality would be the same. And I want to give you a personal example this. I took a group of students to Thailand to visit the Nike factory there. Nike has the largest factory outside Thailand. And the head of Nike Thailand was my student. So I said, can I bring? So he said, Dean Jain, his name was Kevin. So he showed us the factory. This is step one. He said, we get the design from US. The basic design comes from US. Then he showed in the next step, they do the cutting of the materials. So by the way, we were at the step 4. I asked him, what's happening on the other side? He said, Dean Jain, why don't you go and have a look? They were making Reeboks. Under the same skin, एक लाइन में पूरा प्रोडक्शन लाइन नाइकी का है और दूसरे में Reeboks. My advice to you, when you go buy a pair of shoes, buy the one which is on sale. एक ही फैक्ट्री में दोनों बन रहे हैं और कोई there is absolutely no quality difference other than the tag of this, and Nike may be slightly more bluish in color or Reebok का colors combination different होगा, but I saw this with my personal eyes. So then I realized what is the power of the brand. The things are manufactured at the same place. Same thing, semiconductors and Intel comes. And I tell you, this concept of Intel Inside, today it's not the same Intel what it was, came from an MBA student who was doing his summer internship at Intel. And he told his boss that if we don't differentiate that the chip inside comes from Intel, people would only know the name of the laptop, whether it is a Compaq or whatever it is, HP. We have to. So he asked, how would you do that? So the paper he wrote was Intel chip inside, and he explained, and that Intel chip inside became Intel Inside. And how would people know? There was a jingle that when you turn on, the sound comes. And that's how this whole concept came. So one advice I have for many of you in this room, whenever you're working and you have free time, and something that has impressed you in your life, start asking the question, what made it happen? And if I have to do it today again, what would I do differently? This is intellectual curiosity. And I tell you, you may come up with a much better way. And if you do that, communicating with the company can be a very big landmark for you. Always ask, when I spend time on the plane, I always keep asking, ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Or if I have to do it again, what would I do differently? So I present the framework, and I think Yogen Bhai is going to talk more about today on the same thing. When you brand something, what are the elements? You can brand on the product that you have. By product, I mean the product features. You can brand based on the location, that this is like LVMH would say, things from France or something like the French food. So you can make the place, or you can focus on the people. These are the three key ingredients on which you try to build a brand. You can build on all three, but at least you have to think about what's your excellence is about. And the core has to be, what does it stand for? Core brand values is jo nimboo ka nichod, that rus, what is there. For example, when you think of Thailand, the core value of Thailand is hospitality. I have traveled so much, but you won't find hospitality that the Thais have. और वो दिल से है, दिमाग से नहीं. They are really hospitable, and the hospitality at its best. So all the work that I do, the first thing is, if it is for a country, if it is for an institution, what are the core values? And those core values, what I'm very happy to say, हम Jains के under में, those core values are very deep. Remember I told you yesterday this book somebody wrote called Values Driven Leadership? We have to, for any human being also, people like to know what are the core values for there. And then using that core values, you see whether for that particular company, for product or anything, is product the mean to communicate the core values, the place or the person. If you look at the Buddhist religion, Dalai Lama becomes the brand. हमारे भी बहुत गुरु हैं, लेकिन we don't have that one single person to do that. Bindesh Bhai, when I saw that photo, Pope stands for the entire Catholic side. So these religions have been able to market themselves based on a leader in which you have full astha, faith. In India, there is a group called the Radha Swami group. Have you heard Satsang? Radha? My wife belongs to that group. She's not a Jain. and they are so much devoted to their guru, and their religion is only spirituality. They say about spiritual experience, they focus on meditation, but there is one person they brand around that. The place is Dera, jo unka near Amritsar, they have a place where people go. My wife also, every year in the month of February, they would go there, and they've been doing that for the last 50 years or so. So some people have made one pilgrimage that they go one person, and on the product they say Simran, which is meditation, Dhyan or Bhajan. ये उनके 3 words है. Bhajan, Dhyan and Simran. So if you look at, everyone follows that, no questions asked in others. This is a journey I think Yugen Bhai, etc. have been doing, but I think time has come for we Jains to be unified together and use this. I'm just giving one framework to work collectively to see how we present this to the world. So some of the approaches that I have been taking personally, you know that the most powerful concept I think in Jains is this concept of anekant. तो अभी मैंने एक काम शुरू किया है. Many universities in the world, I have been guiding students who are doing PhDs using this concept. Skills में, I tell the young children, first very important skill that you need to learn in life is public speaking. ये बहुत जरूरी है. You know, I have a saying that public speaking is like childbirth, easy to conceive but difficult to deliver. Right? That's how it is. They say the same thing. Public speaking is something very important. The second is presentation skills. Because your presentation skills, the clarity, the transparency should not be too loaded on others. And third is negotiation skills. And now my colleagues in all management schools have learned negotiation skills में सबसे important tool is anekant. What is the end of the negotiation skill? Both parties feel they won, or they got what they wanted to do. Because game theory teaches zero-sum game. That zero-sum game is not sustainable. हारने वाला आदमी आपके पीछे लगा रहेगा. What is the best outcome? Either win-win or lose-lose. But the new negotiation skill says how you create a win-win environment. And I have a PhD student right now in India working on this concept of anekant. He's a Jain. How you create a better win-win situation out of negotiation skills. So PhD programs with Jaswant Bhai, Sulekh Jain, and Prem Jain, Praveen Jain, a lot of us are creating these chairs on Jain studies in US University. Mohi, Bhavi bhi yahan par hain. We ought to give and create these platforms. But I tell you what my big vision is. A person that I think made a difference in the world is Einstein. And Einstein's biggest contribution was Princeton में Institute of Advanced Studies. That is one institute that changed the whole discipline of physics. प्रेम भाई वगैरह यहाँ पर है. I want one day to create an Institute of Advanced Jain Studies where we have research scholars working on these Jain religions में जो हैं, whether सम्यक दर्शन ज्ञान चरित्र, but creating PhD scholars, not just the MBA programs. That I think would be a very important thing that we create, and we would do that at a top institute. उनको तो फंडिंग चाहिए, but an institute of advanced Jain studies, जिससे कि we can promote this thing more. Okay, so I know I'm exceeding time, but just give me a few minutes. I want to show some examples how I implemented these things. Some of you may know this thing. हम लोग जब बहुत छोटे थे, there was a very famous movie in India called An Evening in Paris. किसी को याद है एक movie called An Evening in Paris? It was Shami Kapoor, Sharmila Tagore in dual role. और This is a movie in the 60s. I remember going and seeing that movie. कभी सपने में भी नहीं सोचा था that an evening in Paris for me would become every evening in Paris. When I was the dean of INSEAD, I used to live, और खिड़की खोलता था तो आईफिल टावर दिखता था. कभी नहीं सोचा था कि that would become. So I will show you what I did when I was in Paris, when I was in Thailand. Couple of examples that how we use this framework. As I say, brand is not the promise, but the delivery. But before that, the other thing about human being, you have to learn that if you look at human behavior is driven first by your genes. जो आपके संस्कार है, जिस घर में आपका जन्म हुआ, this you inherit from your parents, grandparents, and etc. This is given to you. ये तो कोई चेंज नहीं हो सकता है. हमारे जैन संस्कार हमारे हैं, we are born. The second is self-discipline. You know, twins born in the same family may have 280-degree behavior. You have seen that? I have seen that with my eyes. Twins, same time, janam patri bhi sab barabar hai, but when they become mature people, you can never say from behavior that they are twins. Self-discipline. And third is the environment. मैं इसको कहता हूं संस्कार, genes, self-discipline is swam, and environment is sangat. These three affects your behavior. The kind of people you live with, you work with, affects who you are, but at the end, you are the master. Every Friday when I was a PhD student, after 2 o'clock, I used to have a class with all the PhD students, teach them some statistical skills. और 5 शाम को 5 o'clock till 2 a.m. till the bar used to close, we used to go for happy time. कभी भी मन नहीं किया कि to have a sip of any alcohol. When I became the dean of Kellogg, at the podium there was always a glass with sparkling water or plain water. People would respect you for what you stand for. You can be in the company, but your self-discipline is your biggest asset, and you have to believe in that. Family values, personal traits, and work culture. These are the simple things, but I'm just trying to put them in a structured way. Now comes how you brand a country like US. Just to give you some examples, so that when we do branding Jainism or Jains or Jain values, how we go about doing that. And Yogen Bhai will tell you the kind of work he is doing. First comes, as I said, product. And if you look at US, I call the new diet of US. D stands for digital platform. US ka digital. I stands for innovative mindset. US people, very innovative. E for entrepreneurial spirit. And T for technology, which includes AI, ML, and other things. America's, this is the new diet today. So if we have to brand, Chat GPT ko le lo, that is something that is coming. Cisco when it came, Microsoft ka when Windows came, these were all new things. And if you look at the last 50 years of US, all these innovations came from individuals, not from big companies. That innovative and entrepreneurial spirit is something very unique to US. Place. ये सब तो है लोग जो विजिट करने आते हैं, नायग्रा फॉल्स, ग्रैंड कैनियन, these are places that attracts people. But उस पे तो ब्रांड नहीं होगा. But at least before branding, you have to have a sense of attraction. What drives you there? And third is when you look at the people side. And here, one thing that I have felt, the work ethics is just super. And what is US known for? Land of opportunity. Prem Bhai came to this country, went to not Harvard, Stanford, MIT, UC Davis, and one of the most renowned alum of UC Davis. So where you come and do, This country gives an opportunity. और उस opportunity में there is no discrimination. Everyone gets the same land, everything. It depends on your efforts, the kind of people you work with. I came to UT Dallas. And at that time, when I came to do my PhD, it was not even in top 500. It was just a new commuter school established by two founders of Texas Instruments. It's just a commuter. Only the 2 years of undergraduate education was there, but they wanted to focus on PhDs. And I came because a professor wrote a letter to me asking to come. I still have that letter that professor wrote. I asked him for some research papers. And he wrote a letter to me, Dear Dipak, I wonder if you would be interested in doing a PhD at UT Dallas. If so, send me your GMAT and TOEFL scores. तेजपुर में हमने कभी वो GMAT वर्ड भी नहीं सुना था. और ये TOEFL क्या होता है? I tried, they said that in those days there were only 2 centers, Bombay or Delhi, twice a year. I wrote back to this professor saying that I don't have any resources to do this. I just sent him my mark sheet, the score, my grades, and a letter from my advisor. You know, he sent me a letter of admission with full financial aid. And Guwahati, जो तेजपुर का यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम भी कभी उन्हें IIT आया नहीं था. Last February 9th, there was a special event at UT Dallas. That university was established in 1974. Classes only started in 78 and 80. And I joined there in 82. It's from 74 to 2024. In 50 years history, they gave me an award. Dipak Jain has been the best alum they have produced in their 50-year history. And my first transparency was that letter from that professor. I showed that 3-line letter. और उन दिनों ना ये सब हाथ से लिखने का होता था लेटर वगैरह और या वो टाइप. So I have that old letter. I showed that letter and I said that letter made a difference. But I told this professor what I told you last night, that when people give me an opportunity, my only words that I tell that person is, Professor Chandrasekharan, you have brought me here. One thing I can tell you for sure, I won't disappoint you. If you have faith in that statement, and after my presentation, he came to the podium to speak, and he said, Dipak, today you made me feel like I got Bharat Ratna award. That was what he said, that I got Bharat Ratna. Because when he went to the provost said, he's not GMAT TOEFL, and we don't know this university. Koi nahi janta hai, that's unknown university. He said, Chandra, I am giving you this chance, but this is your first and last chance. I won't let you admit any students in future. So never disappointing, that is what this America is about. You have to excel, and excellence, again, not to repeat, Einstein wrote an equation called E equal to mc square. No, you heard that thing? Or his thing? I always believe, and Prem Bhai would agree with this, that for us, Jains, E equal to mp square rather than C. E is excellence, M is merit, and the 2 P's are purpose and perseverance. Purpose jaruri hai, and perseverance means think long term. Outcome is the derivative. Don't get attached to the outcome. So excellence for we Jains, because we have the merit, and that merit is ours, and that there should be a purpose, and I use that part. Now, so that is the brand US. If you look at brand Paris, people like French food. I don't know how many of you go to a French restaurant, they would have 24-course meal. They open the table with a cover and there is a small olive. And after French food dinner, you have to stop at the McDonald's to fill your stomach, right? You will have all the taste, but that's what it is. They have this Eiffel Tower, Louvre museums, they have products. The people are romantic and other things, but their core value is, they say, city of lights and love. French people are more romantic and other things, whereas if you look at Germany, there is no concept of love or anything. It's all machines type thing. Within the same continent, you would find people with very different things. Thailand, I said, you have all this part. I hope that presentations is clear there. World-class tourism, including the. My project was, if Thailand's core essence is hospitality, they should not think of just simple tourism, but medical tourism. Because when you are sick, and Dr. Manoj would say this, when the doctor comes and just touches you, आधी बीमारी से उसी से दूर हो जाती है. A slight touch can make a difference. So after my presentation, Thailand today gets maximum number of medical tourism. And you know where these tourists come from? Middle East. आप अगर बैंकॉक हॉस्पिटल या हॉस्पिटल में लॉबी में बैठेंगे, Saudi Arabia, UAE, these people have money, they come, they like the Thai hospitality, and their hospitals are not 5-star hotels, but 7-star hotels. Those nurses are also very dedicated and other things. So they have Phuket, Chiang Mai, and I have been to those things. This hospitality. And then we say land of smiles. और वो दिल से करते हैं. थाईलैंड का जो हॉस्पिटैलिटी है वो दिल से हॉस्पिटैलिटी, नॉट शो. एंड आई नो सम ऑफ यू आर रिकॉर्डिंग दिस, बट आई यूज्ड टू डू सम वर्क फॉर सिंगापुर एयरलाइंस. You know, when people say travel में Singapore Airlines one of the best, वो जो smiles on the Singapore hospitality is, if they don't smile, they would be out of the job. That's the truth. मेरे से खुद जब मैं travel करता हूँ, आएंगी that you are on the board of United Airlines, can we get some other jobs? Plus they have a very strict restrictions on the age. So the Singaporean smile may not, वो दिल और दिमाग दो अलग अलग चीज हैं. Coming from Assam, ecotourism वगैरह. Assam is a land of full natural beauties. Kaziranga is the wildlife, people go there. But the main thing is Assamese people are very down to earth. उनमें ego, arrogance, elegance ये सब है ही नहीं. हम तो रहे हैं. And I call it a hidden gem that nature has given the best gift to that country. Brand India. Historically, we are the oldest civilization in the world. आदिनाथ भगवान का कहते हैं ना कि 6000 का जब भी है, he taught 80 कृषि. Agriculture came. A professor at University of Chicago just did a piece of research, and he is saying that the agriculture revolution started 6000 years ago. हमारे भी हैं, what sites people go for Taj Mahal, etc. But that Taj Mahal is no longer the main attraction anymore. It used to be. There are a lot of other things we do, and so on. I think that the real brand of India is global hub for human talent. I am really 100% positive. Microsoft today and Google are there. Dipak Jain started the Dean's journey. आज से 10 या 20 साल बाद, every top corporation of the world would have a person from India leading it. And I wish that उसमें a large proportion would be we Jains. I really believe that कि ये होगा. So just बुद्धिज्म का मैंने बताया आपको. दलाई लामा is there. But बुद्धिस्ट लोगों ने ना वो जो कल्चर कॉस्ट्यूम्स बना दिए है, वो देख के you can identify a Buddhist monk. So whenever they go in groups, etc. And at Florida International University, Bindesh would know, we had invited the Dalai Lama when we gave him the first check. He has only, in all the speech, there is only one word they use. बड़ा क्लियर कंसाइज मैसेज है कंपैशन को लेके. हम तो 3 A's की बात करते हैं, वो केवल एक C की बात करते हैं. मैंने शिकागो के मेयर के लिए प्रोजेक्ट किया था कि शिकागो का स्ट्रेंथ और वी गो थ्रू ए प्रोसेस टू कम टू दिस थिंग. व्हाट आर द स्ट्रेंथ्स? गुड मिडवेस्टर्न कल्चर इज वेरी गुड. शिकागो यूके इज कनेक्टेड विद द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. इट्स अ वेरी डाइवर्स कम्युनिटी, पोलिश, ज्यूज, सब कुछ है. infrastructure is very good, that is there. A sense of community. Midwestern values have very strong community. But if you look at the weakness, I told you yesterday about the weather, lack of entrepreneurial spirit. It's not the Bay Area. अभी भी आपने शिकागो में established companies like John Deere का ये सब हैं, but entrepreneurial spirit is missing. Crime reputation is there. Not good quality public schools. This is a very big problem we have. And the government bureaucracy. You all know, no, कि शिकागो को लोग कहते हैं windy city. That windy city is not because of the wind. It's because of the politicians blow too much wind when they discuss, but कुछ करते नहीं है. The windy city came from the politicians of Chicago. वो बात बड़ी बड़ी करेंगे खूब. So they like to blow wind but do nothing. So government bureaucracy. But I think that Chicago is one of the most hidden jewels of the world. If you are interested, when we finish this project, you can read that how we are trying to market the city of Chicago. So my conclusion thing is, अगर human value में, I said this thing before also, पैसा कमाना जरूरी है. Don't get me wrong. Kellogg के लिए ट्यूशन एग्जीक्यूटिव एजुकेशन से पैसा आना है. Reputation is the currency and respect is going to be the legacy. I would like Jains to be the most respected people in the world. Whether we are the richest people or something नहीं है, people have to have respect for what you stand for. So just to summarize, brand comes from people. Recognizing that people are the source of differentiation. That's why when we have to brand, the brand has to be for the Jains, what we stand for. If people look at you as a role model, then they try to find out how did you grow up, what influenced you, and so on. So people are the real source of differentiation. So my thing is that of the 3 P's, I say product, people, and place. People with values is what we would like to do that. Peoples are Jains. The product is the Jain values, and place is all the Jain temples. A lot of American visitors now go to India as tourists to go to Ranthambore and Rajasthan to see the Jain temples because they have met me. I'm on the board of many companies. They would go and see these places. Perseverance, difficulties come in our way to make us better, not bitter. क्रोध, मान, माया, लोभ, इन सबसे दूर रहना है. So difficulties are indicators for you to become better. This I told you, eyes on the horizon, this thing. These are the things that I said this thing. What drives me every morning are these statements. I say uncertainty is inevitable. Worrying is optional. उस uncertainty से worry करके ambiguity deal करना and timely action is essential. I never worry. जो हो गया हो गया. Never get angry. कभी किसी ने दीपक को गुस्सा होता देखा नहीं क्या? Angry means you are not following अनेक अंता नहीं क्या? वो गुस्सा कर रहा है उसका भी एक व्यू पॉइंट है. And what is the best? Silence is the best defense. I never say anything when a faculty member would come in my office and yell at me. I say, मेरे एक ही sentence, I will get back to you in 24 or 48 hours. उस समय जवाब नहीं दूंगा. And after 24 hours, I would say the person the same thing that I wanted to say on the spot. And the reason is, if I give an answer right there, he would think I'm not listening. So my answer is, I have heard you, and let me think about it and get back to you. This I said yesterday. So, I don't know what to tell you. When I reflect back on my journey, कभी तेजपुर शहर से बाहर ही नहीं गए थे. We did not have a university, so we had to go to Guwahati to study. And I remember my father took me to the bus station and told the bus driver कि ये लड़का कभी बस में नहीं बैठा है. गुवाहाटी यूनिवर्सिटी का स्टॉपेज comes before the main city stoppage. इसको बता देना कहाँ उतरना है. That guy who never sat in the bus was a board of director of United Airlines from 2004 to 2011. कभी बस में नहीं बैठा, became the head of United Airlines board. कभी English medium, I told you, पढ़ा, became the dean there. So again, believe in yourself. Mentorship is very important. When you get advice, take that advice, work on it. Or if I have been able to achieve what I have done in life, the world and the new generation is so well advanced that I really believe the best of this world is ahead of us, but it won't happen on its own. And I want to end this with a quote from Pandit Radhakrishnan. When he became the president, somebody asked him this question, that you became the president of India, is this your luck or your efforts? He said one sentence, I quote this every time I speak. He said, when you play cards, the deck of cards you get is your luck. What you make of those cards is your effort. अच्छे पत्ते से भी आदमी बाजी हार जाएगा और ऑर्डिनरी पत्ते से भी आदमी बाजी जीत जाएगा. We all have been given a deck of cards to us, where you are born, the job you have, and everything. My only advice is make the best use of those cards. And those are the skills, tools, and concepts you need. And if you seek help, don't hesitate to ask for it. And again, the best of Jainism is ahead of us. The best of humanity is ahead of us. And I sincerely believe we are going through all these global disruptions. But with this new generation, when I look at my children, they all are driven by purpose. They are not, I use a term called from higher profits to broader purpose. So we all, most important thing for all Jains is to get united, have a common purpose, work together, and think about what we can do to make this world peaceful, purposeful, and prosperous. And Dipak Jain is with you on this journey. Thank you again for letting me speak. But I tell you, this is, I sometimes become too emotional about this thing because my mother never went to school. And my father was born with one eye, and later on he lost the other eye. And so most of his life he was completely blind. So in 1976, I appeared as a private student, went to the bookstore, bought some books on calculus and etc. I did a bachelor's degree in mathematics honors. So in 1976, some people came home and said, Jain साहब, आज का आपने आसाम ट्रिब्यून पढ़ा? मेरा father बोले, बेटा मैं तो पढ़ नहीं सकता, पढ़ के बता दो क्या है. So people read that your son Dipak Jain scored the highest mark in mathematics honors and a gold medalist. You should send him to IITs for further studies. When I came home that evening, my father told me one sentence. I will translate in English. He said, हिंदी में कहा, बेटा ये खिताब जो तूने आज जीता है, खिताब means an honor. ये दूसरों के साथ भी इसको शेयर करना. What he said was, the honor that you have received today, make sure you get to share with others. And that was in 76, I decided that I want to become a teacher. And my grandfather named me Dipak when I was born. वो कहते जगदीश मेरे फादर का नाम है. बोला बेटा जगदीश को दिखता नहीं है, तुम्हें दुनिया को दिखाना है. So he named me Dipak. That's what my grandfather was a teacher. So there cannot be another person on this planet who is as blessed as I am. And it's only because of the love and affection I've received from people worldwide. So whatever the best is in Dipak, I offer to all of you today. वही मैं आपको दे सकता हूँ. Thank you.
We are very, very flexible, so we will figure this out. So what I would like to do is two things. all the slides that we have been seeing, they will be sent out as a post-forum follow-up. So you will receive that. So don't worry. We're going to take a 10-minute bio break so you can use the facilities, and then we'll come back and we will work a little bit on branding, and we'll have Bela Shah take us through a leadership development training. So take your break.